These are football players that killed their careers. And first, Quincy Promes's life-changing decisions are straight out of a horror movie. Because after 50 international appearances and 10 plus years of professional football, Bro seemed ready to ride off into the sunset. But in 2020, his career took a wild turn. Once he started having family issues. See, Bro really stabbed a relative in the knee and was arrested for attempted manslaughter. But that wasn't even the worst thing he did that year. He was caught smuggling some 1,360 kilograms of cocaine from Brazil to the Netherlands on not one, but 2 occasions.
Breaking news now involving Quincy Promes, former Netherlands international, of course, and now that he's been jailed for 6 years. It's after being convicted for an involvement in a drug smuggling ring.
Meanwhile, Robinho's story will also have your jaw on the floor. Because in 2013, Bro did something truly horrific. He was at a nightclub in Milan, having a good time and getting drinks. Yet, that was only the beginning, because as the night continued, things got wilder. He was hanging out with a bunch of girls when he decided to commit gang rape. And honestly, Bro must have thought he was invincible. Because the sad thing is, he almost got away with it. It wasn't until 4 years later that he was finally convicted. Today, Robinho is set to serve a 9-year sentence in prison. But another player went viral for not his actions, but for his body. See, in 2017, West Ham midfielder Samir Nasri was banned from football due to doping. And Bro was only supposed to be out of action for 6 months. But that was quickly extended to 18 months following a UEFA ruling. And once Nasri saw his career getting away from him, Bro completely gave up. Because after retirement, he showed up to a charity match looking like this. Safe to say, he's fully embracing the dad bod lifestyle. But up next, one manager's disbelief caused one of the world's biggest stars to fall off a cliff. It wasn't long ago that Paul Pogba was football's royalty. Considered one of the most talented players of his generation, he was unstoppable at Juventus. This dude won 4 Serie A titles and earned himself 89 million. This was supposed to be happily ever after. But at Manchester United, something shifted. Once he made the switch, Man United had one of the worst stretches in franchise history. And fans expected Pogba to turn the franchise around, but instead he spiraled into depression.
Money changed people. Sometimes I was just by myself thinking, I don't want to have money anymore. I just don't want to play anymore. I just want to be with normal people. So they will love me for me, not for the fame, not for the money.
See, there was one man who lost hope before anyone else, Jose Mourinho. As the club manager, he and Pogba never got off on the right foot. The two got into so many arguments that by 2018, Mourinho even stripped Pogba of the vice captaincy. But things would get even worse. You see, my man was struggling. Poor play combined with poor morale, and Pogba started doping. And once the higher-ups caught wind, they handed him a record-breaking 4-year ban. Fortunately, that ban has since been reduced to 18 months. But another star went from a world-class superstar to only retire years later. See, Eden Hazard's stretch with Chelsea was nothing short of magical. Yet in 2019, he went from a Chelsea icon to a snake. This man chose money over loyalty. And honestly, who can blame him? Bro just cashed in $100 million. He was set to join Real Madrid and become the next face of La Liga. But now that Hazard was set for life, he was starting to get distracted. So when he showed up to training, he was 10 pounds overweight. But Hazard bounced back. And by October 2019, he was starting to find his groove again. That's when one injury would change everything. Little did fans realize this was the same ankle that had been causing him pain for years, and it didn't get any better. A few months later, Hazard re-injured the ankle again, this time causing him to get surgery. But when he returned, he was just a shell of his former self. They tried inserting a metal plate into his foot. That didn't work. Then he was advised to have another operation, but Madrid forced him to suck it up. And when he eventually had the plate in his ankle removed, that didn't help much either. So by October 2023, Hazard shocked the world, retiring at the young age of 32. Just 4 years after signing a contract worth 10 figures. Some injuries are physical, and others are mental. Dele Alli had to overcome both. See, Ali's rise to stardom hasn't been easy.
At 6, I was molested by my mum's friend, who was at the house a lot. 7, I started smoking. 8, I started dealing drugs.
But once Dele Alli went pro, Bro thought his biggest problems were in the past, and in 2015, he joined the Tottenham Hotspurs.
Alderweireld. And Ali has drifted in, and Ali finishes with real style.
Soon after, he made his debut for England's national team. By 2018, he led England to the World Cup semifinals. He was just 22 years old, but that's when it all started to fall apart. See, the 2018-19 season saw Ali struggle with injuries, and Ali didn't realize it, but his problems were bigger than physical. Once he returned, he lacked the same confidence and greatness that made him so special.
I told already Deli very directly, he doesn't train well. He's not a good trainer. We need to find the right motivation for the guy.
By 2021, he wasn't even good enough to start for Everton. 13 games that season. He failed to score or register a single assist. See, Ali didn't realize it. His childhood trauma was still holding him back. The same kid who was sexually abused at age 6 is now addicted to sleep medication and lost his will to live. So Ali spent 6 weeks at a rehab facility and claims it was one of the best decisions he's ever made. But while Ali's story has inspired many, Mason Greenwood's story took a different turn. By age 17, this dude was already playing for Manchester United, and by 18, he made his mark on the England national team.
Mason Greenwood, in my opinion, is going to be a top player. He's got the coolness and coolness of a great striker.
However, his immaturity soon got the best of him. During the pandemic, my man got lonely, and to cope with it, this dude hosted parties. I'm talking lots of women, loud music, and long nights to 5 a.m. But the authorities weren't about to arrest such a high-profile star, so they just kept quiet. That was until 2022, when he was arrested for sexual assault, and this time, they couldn't keep quiet, especially because bro was making death threats to the women. That's when he hit rock bottom. Man United suspended him indefinitely. Nike called it quits, and he was even removed from FIFA. But then in 2023, things took a dramatic turn. The charges were dropped.
The Manchester United footballer Mason Greenwood today had all charges of attempted rape, assault and coercive control against him dropped.
Yet, this man's reputation was already down bad, so Man United still didn't want him. Yet Hope Solo's fall from grace took an even darker turn, because considering how it started, it seemed impossible to mess up her reputation.
There she is! She reached back. It sounded like...
Without a doubt, she's one of the greatest female goalkeepers of all time. But she had some help, and in 2012, she tested positive for a banned substance. Yet Solo claimed to not know the medication she was on contained drugs, so fans gave her a pass. But 2 years later, her problems became impossible to overlook. This time, she got into a fight with her half-sister and nephew, so when the authorities came, they had to tackle her to the ground. And you'd think Solo would cut her losses, but instead, she started smack-talking the police, saying, "You're scared of me because you know if the handcuffs were off, I'd kiss your ass." Fast forward to 2016, she's pissed off the entire country of Sweden by calling their national team a bunch of cowards. But recently, she's hit an all-time low.
Fast asleep behind the wheel, her SUV is running, her twin toddlers in the back seat.
How much have you drink tonight? Are you sure?
Step out of the vehicle. I'm not asking you again.
With that, she is yanked out and cuffed.
Put your hands behind your back.
In July, she reached a deal, pleading guilty to driving while impaired.
Dang, that's tough to watch. Let's hope that Hope Solo gets the help she deserves. Nobody wanted to turn their life around more than Paul Gascoigne. To many, he's known as one of the greatest English players of all time. But post-retirement hasn't been kind to Gascoigne. Without football in his life, he can't even watch a game without getting depressed. So long story short, he made alcohol his main coping mechanism. From retirement in 2004 to 2014, he's gone to alcohol rehab 7 times. And it's gotten so out of control that he started taking extreme measures. He once attended a clinic that costed him $6,000 a month. And on another occasion, he paid $20,000 to have anti-boozing pellets put into his stomach. My man tried everything. And ultimately, he's come to a harsh conclusion.
Well, I used to be a happy drunk, you know, and I ain't anymore.
What are you like now?
A little sad drunk. If I'm drunk, I'll go out. Like, I don't go out and drink. I'll drink indoors.
Not gonna lie, it hurts to see a legend down bad. That said, Adam Johnson's reputation is so bad, he was stripped of his 12 England caps. Yeah, you'd think this man had it all based on his accomplishments.
It is decent! Tell him, lad, it's decent! It's decent! Two English boys at Wembley, this is the way it's meant to be, isn't it?
That's the way it should be, you know, we're moving the moon and we're gonna shuffle every day. I'm shuffling.
He played for his hometown club, signed with Man City, and yes, played for the England national team. But off the pitch, my man was hurting for affection. Oh, come on, bruh. This girl is 15 and you're 28. But Johnson felt he could groom this girl, and it destroyed his future. He was imprisoned for kissing and sexually touching the teenage girl. And things only got worse, because not only did he possess extreme pornography on his computer, but if Johnson had a do-over, he'd do this.
How long did you got 6 years, didn't you? Yeah. And you never even the bird. No, you never even it's not like you beds or all like that. No, I wish did this shit.
Alright, bro. This is beyond messed up. So messed up that the victim couldn't even show her face without being bullied. That's bad. Ravel Morrison's got me feeling bad on his behalf. Because if anyone deserved success, it was Morrison. From a young age, it was clear that this dude was different. He came from a rough upbringing, but bro had that it factor. While at Manchester United Academy, Sir Alex Ferguson, one of football's most respected managers, famously called Morrison the best young player he had ever seen at his age.
The old boss said to me, look at this kid number 7 on the training pitch, come and watch him for a minute. Best kid he's ever seen. And he was just taking the mick out of all the other players on the pitch.
Fans nicknamed him the Wonder Kid. And once he finally made his debut for Manchester United, Morrison was so thankful, he wrote his manager a letter.
Rio, my first and lasting impression in Ravel as a young lad was he has always got time and space. Always available to be on the ball. Another thing about Ravel which I've always treasured because no other young player who made their debut did it. After the first game in the first team that he played, the next morning he came to my office and gave me a letter thanking me for giving him his debut. I was gobsmacked, Rio. The boy had a good heart. He was just beaten by his background.
But bro needed one thing above all else: money. In fact, one time he got kicked out of a changing room for stealing. He had to steal other players' cleats and sell them off just to get by and put dinner on the table. And ultimately, this was just the beginning. Sir Alex Ferguson, the same manager who called him the best young player he'd ever seen, was mad concerned. So Ferguson shipped him off to West Ham United for a fresh start. Only Morrison seemed lost and lacked effort in training, causing West Ham United to also give up. Still, Morrison possessed undeniable talent. The problem was, he couldn't find a home.
Would you look back on your time growing up, even now, would you say you had some problems yourself?
Like with depression and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, when I was in Italy, I was very depressed. I wasn't playing, could be the best player in training, and you was never going to get the opportunity. And yeah, it was dark then. I was going through a dark time in life then.
Is it possible to talk to teammates, to the manager?
No, never really.
By the time he was 30, he had already played for 14 different clubs. But while Morrison's main problem was money and work ethic, Philippe Coutinho is the third most expensive footballer of all time. So how did he manage to kill his career? Well, it all went downhill once he left Liverpool, which is ironic because this was Coutinho's childhood dream come true.
Estoy muy contento, muy feliz de llegar aquí. Es mi sueño, como he dicho, y espero en el campo responder todas las expectativas.
He left Liverpool to play with Lionel Messi and Luis Suarez. And to make it happen, Liverpool received $176 million, a record transfer fee. This was supposed to be a win-win deal for both sides. However, Barcelona didn't know how to use them. With the offense centered around Messi, Coutinho often found himself playing out of position. And long before, he found himself loaned out to Bayern Munich. His confidence was now at an all-time low. And when he returned to Barca, Bro suffered a serious knee injury, meaning that by 2022, Coutinho moved to play on for Aston Villa. After all, Steven Gerrard, his former Liverpool teammate, was now the club manager. And if anyone could get this man back on track, it was Gerrard. Yet continued injuries and decreased play all but ended his time as a star. Which brings us to Andy van der Meyde, who not only destroyed his career, he destroyed his family. By 2005, this dude joined Everton, and fans thought he was the next big thing until injuries started to add up. And instead of coming back stronger than ever, Mo started feeling sorry for himself. When he came back, minutes were limited, and the sport he once loved was no longer the same. He started drinking to cope with the pain and became seriously depressed. Then, in January 2006, a severe thigh injury kept him out for 6 months. That's when the problems started to add up. He developed insomnia, stole sleeping pills from the club, and started taking cocaine. But van der Meyde's life continued to spiral. He took coke and alcohol and partied 7 days a week. And in the process, his wife knew something was up. So she hired a private investigator that found him in bed with a stripper. This man was living the life of a playboy footballer to the extreme, and it costed him his marriage. But he's not the only party boy on this list. Adriano is a Brazilian legend, earning 48 caps for his country and scoring 27 international goals. But like the rest of us, he's human. And in 2004, Adriano got the worst noose imaginable.
9 days later, August 4th, 2004, I was back in Europe with Inter. I got a call from home. They told me my father had died. Heart attack. He loved the game, so I loved the game. It was that simple. It was my destiny. When I played football, I played for my family. When I scored for my family. So when my father died, football was never the same.
Instead of training, he spent his time drinking and wanted nothing to do with football. And despite many attempts to save his career, Adriano left football for a much different life. He moved to a presidential suite of a luxury hotel and started dating 2 women at once. And since then, Adriano has never been the same. One day he was seen riding around on a scooter, handing out free Big Mac meals to kids. Like, bro, that's kinda creepy. I mean, this dude tried everything to fill the void of his father. And sadly, this goes to show you that footballers may have it all on paper, but deep down, they have problems just like the rest of us. But still, there's one more void left in this video, and that's you clicking the video on screen. All right, I'll see you there.